Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears to some of the travails and trepidations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this particular video I'm doing today is about guardianship and conservatorship. As we get older and approach older age, some of us hopefully can retire and live the rest of our lives in our own homes, but some of us end up having debilitating illnesses and we end up in nursing homes or skilled facilities or sometimes assisted living facilities. And having the right person handling your assets is of utmost importance. Normally, you would want to have a family member, a son or a daughter, or somebody that you can trust. But if you don't have that, through family feuds or no one left, sometimes the court orders a guardian. And guardians can take advantage of people sometimes. So picking the right person is important. So let's talk about a guardian who has gone on the illegal side of the law and has taken advantage of some elderly folks. Florida guardian suspended amid reports of hacker activity, missing Mercedes, and excessive spending. Judge demands records in 34 cases after scathing audit. At best, this is mismanagement. At worst is something more, said Circuit Court Judge Elizabeth Cryer. She addressed Johnson and her team of more than a half a dozen lawyers at a hearing about how Johnson cared for 34 court-appointed wards and their money. So wards are the people. I also am not going to allow these wards' money to be flushed down the toilet for another minute, Judge Cryer said. Numerous complaints were made about Kathy Johnson, and again, they were all unsubstantiated, and nothing was done until today. Too little and God knows too late, said guardianship reform advocate Hillary Hogue, who lives in Collier County. The Collier County Clerk of Courts, which monitors guardianships, found several irregularities in Johnson's case. Those included claims which the auditor disputed that 3 wards, these are 3 people, lost more than $85,000 as a result of hacker activity, which Johnson reported to the Collier County Sheriff's Office. There were also concerns that a ward's Mercedes-Benz didn't appear in an inventory of her assets. Mercedes-Benz disappeared. Accounts show that a ward's bank account shrank by nearly $609,000 in 2 years while the woman was in Johnson's care. Johnson previously told auditors she couldn't produce invoices and other records because they were in storage. All the records need to be turned over to the auditor's office, every single piece of paper, Judge Cryer said. Judge Cryer also questioned whether some wards should be in guardianship at all, based on shoddy capacity exams she observed in court records. I want a real capacity evaluation, Judge Cryer said. I'm not convinced that everybody's seeing everybody in terms of these capacity evaluations. My intention was to get Johnson out. She did a lot of things to a lot of people, Manning said. Johnson moved Manning to a small home care facility in rural Lehigh Acres, in another county more than 50 miles from the Collier County Courthouse. That facility was recently cited by the state for its staff not having proper medical training and certification. When asked to describe her living situation, Miss Manning replied, "Bad, very bad. I have to share a room. Kathy Johnson got both of us in there," Manning said. Johnson's 2 wards, the 2 people, share a tiny room in the 1,400 square foot home. The women also share a single bathroom with 2 disabled men who live there. This is very far from her. This is very far place for her. She doesn't like to come at all, Manning said, talking about Miss Johnson, the guardian. A clerk's affidavit indicated Johnson may have violated Florida's guardianship law by not making required quarterly visits to the facility. Federighi inherited money after the death of her stepfather and her estranged sisters from Illinois, hired an attorney to petition to have her placed in guardianship and stripped of all her rights. She says a court-appointed committee conducted brief mental exams. It was a retired hospice nurse evaluating me at McDonald's, Federighi said. And then the other two individuals evaluated me were a retired 80-year-old OBGYN and an activities director at a skilled nursing facility. Federighi secretly shot a video of a conversation with Johnson 265 days into her guardianship in 2016. She said, "How come you're billing me hundreds of dollars for phone calls?" Federighi asked Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson replies, "Because that's what I do, Karen. That's how guardianship works." Karen lived alone at a La Quinta Inn, but didn't have access to her money. With the help of guardianship reform advocates she met on Facebook, Karen escaped guardianship in Southwest Florida and fled to California. She said, "I literally lived on the lam for nearly a year using burner phones and cash," Federighi said. An angel donor regularly wired Federighi money at Western Union sites to help her stay hidden. A California lawyer hired by a supporter was able to get Federighi guardianship transfer to Los Angeles County, where it was later overturned. But not before she lost everything she had before the process started. "I was living in a condo and had a car," Federighi said. She said that wasn't all she lost. All gone. All my photographs, my Bibles, furniture, my pets, everything gone, she said. Johnson was also the guardian of Rosalie Ziegler. "There was no caring for my mother," said her daughter Carmen Koak. The guardianship was initiated as a voluntary guardianship as a result of a dispute between Koak and her siblings. But Koak said she wasn't allowed to talk to her 98-year-old mother in the months before she died. She said she found out about her mother's death from a text message. They would not tell her where she was, and they said that they were not going to have a funeral. They told her that she was already cremated, said Koak. Koak flew to North Carolina to say her final goodbye, finding her mother in a cardboard box. It's heartbreaking because they treat them like non-people, like they're not important. "Money is what's important," Koak said. After the hearing, we tried to ask Johnson about the allegations surrounding her suspension and the concerns of the wards and their families. One of her attorneys repeatedly responded no comment as Johnson covered her face with a large envelope without responding to any questions. Johnson's ward's bank accounts have all been frozen, and her wards have been assigned emergency temporary guardianship. The clerk's office has requested that the judge refer cases in which crimes may have occurred to law enforcement. So, I hope you can follow this. This is all talking about guardianship. So say you get disabled, even if you're not an elderly person, and you don't have a family member that you can trust to take over the welfare of your being while you're still alive. It is very important. Sometimes these courts will order a guardian who knows nothing about you, who does not care, and is just there to take your money. It's very similar to individuals who become foster care parents. They may go in with good intentions, and some go in without good intentions, and they're just taking the money and treating the children horribly. Sometimes our social service systems may have good intentions, but fail the U.S. taxpaying citizens many, many times. So having good legal representation, being fully aware of what's going on with your family members and or yourself when it comes to guardianship for elderly folks, disabled individuals, or even foster care is of utmost importance, because sometimes people care more about your money than yourself. Tell me what you think. This is the Trevor Donald Experience.